I had woken up and there's something standing at the end of my bed.
I have people that come in that are possessed by demons.
I definitely feel like an energy when I walk in.
A negative energy that kept on bugging me.
When you open yourself up to things, obviously, yeah, there's like potential that things can like inhabit you.
Do you think demons can be the cause of some mental health problems?
Almost always.
I set my hair on fire trying to do a spell once.
Do you believe the New Age is demonic?
It is 100% demonic.
Do you know what witchcraft is?
Yes, I do.
Oh yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
What are your thoughts on it?
It's pretty evil.
Have you had any experiences yourself?
Yes. A negative energy that kept on bugging me. It was either my own subconscious or someone was putting onto me. I don't know. Finally I overcame it, yeah.
When was this?
Oh, when I was growing up.
Really depends on which way you look at it. But I mean, like my partner, she's like a witch, like her mum and everything like that as well.
Do you think witchcraft is a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it could be both. It depends on how you use. So, I mean, if you can do good spell, but you could also use it, to be negative as well.
I set my hair on fire trying to do a spell once in year 9, but that's why I stopped. But anyway.
What spell was it?
It was a fortune one because I was just not having a good time mentally and I was like, just want to clear my head, and then my head got set on fire and I was like, wow, I'm violently humbled by that.
My partner's very spiritual. She considers herself a witch.
And what does she do in terms of practices?
Oh, she's got heaps of rituals. We've got altars all throughout the house.
Have you ever done Reiki healing?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, it was okay. It worked for a while.
Yes, I have had Reiki healing.
I want to try that. I've read a lot about that. That looks really cool.
My partner's definitely done that.
What would you say if I told you I once got possessed by it?
I hope you're okay.
That sounds shit.
Possessed by
A demon.
That's a bummer. I'm guessing exorcism with the cross.
When you open yourself up to things, obviously, yeah, there's like potential that things can like inhabit you and everything like that. But I think it's down to like you being so vulnerable and not setting up those things in place to not protect yourself. Like it's very interesting.
I then visited the local crystal shop to ask the worker some questions about New Age spirituality. Have you had any people or yourself even that have like had a really bad encounter?
Negatively, like myself, we've had people come in, they've been like, I crashed my car, my whole life's been uprooted, my boyfriend broke up with me, like all of these kind of things. For me personally, like spirituality wise, crystal wise, like that kind of witchcraft side of it, I was so open to anything kind of coming in that there are times that there are like spirits or energies or entities or anything like that that kind of don't have your best intentions at heart. It wasn't even a bad experience, but it scared me. It was something.
Do you think those are like demons?
It definitely didn't feel good. Like it was some type of energy that I was scared. I'd never felt scared before and I felt really scared and I was like scared the absolute crap out of me.
Did you see things or?
Yeah, I was asleep and I had woken up in the middle of the night to like footsteps kind of coming up the stairs. I had woken up and there's something standing at the end of my bed and I was like,
what was it?
Something,
Like,
I don't
was
know,
it
like
like
a shadow, like a kind of outline of a figure.
Whew. A lot of what she was saying was true. If something does open you up to things, then surely it can't be that safe, right? I then met up with a friend called Hayden, who had been demonically possessed from meditation and yoga.
What's going on, bro?
Good to see you, man. Keen to do some witch hunting?
That's the first thing he says, witch hunting.
Together we went to meet Sarah Colkins, a witch from Melbourne, to get her thoughts on witchcraft. Nice to meet you. I'm Jamie. After we were greeted by Sarah, she took us for a tour around her store, and then we entered her office. Okay, so, oh wow. Wow, look at this. Okay. So you conduct your sessions in here?
Yeah.
A lot of statues. What does all this mean?
They're just all bits and pieces Mum collected over the years and books and whatnot.
I definitely feel like an energy when I walk in.
Some of it is antique-y, sort of old ritual stuff. We lost a lot of stuff when the shop burned down in the early 80s. You keep looking at that mirror there and that's what we call a magician's mirror.
Okay, what does that mean?
So that's for actually trying to see spirit guides. So if you're trying to look at what your spirit guide is, you use one of those.
You see things in the background sometimes.
What you do is you stare at yourself in the mirror and you normally use candles and that in the background, but you can sit there for about 10-15 minutes and your face disappears and your spirit guide comes in instead.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
so.
I have so many questions. After Sarah showed us around, I was keen to ask her some hard-hitting questions about her practices and about the ethical nature surrounding them. All right, so Sarah, thank you so much for showing us around your shop. I just want to ask you a couple quick questions about, the practice of witchcraft and what you do. How safe do you think witchcraft really is?
Okay, there is an element of risk with it. There is quite a bit of danger with witchcraft. There's two sides to witchcraft. There's black magic, which is sort of calling forth the dark energies in the side of it, and that's mainly to cause harm to people. The witchcraft that I do and the generations of my family do is all white magic, and we're designed to help others and look after everybody.
What got you into, witchcraft in the first place?
I'm the 7th generation of the family that's been born into witchcraft, and my children and my grandchildren all do witchcraft.
So me, I actually got into a lot of yoga and meditation and stuff. I ended up having a demon come into me and I was possessed. I just would be interested to see what your perspective is on that.
You've got to be very, very careful with everything you do.
Absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
And I have weekly people that come in that are possessed by demons or spirits or have things come into their house.
So when you're doing your work, your healing work, you're obviously communicating with spiritual forces out there. Yeah. What would you say the craziest thing is that you've ever seen doing your work?
The seance I went to when I was younger with Mum, it was of a candlesticks being thrown across the room of a spirit. And it was I'll never forget that. It was the scariest. When I was a little kid, seeing things at the end of the bed and things like that.
Do you think people can be possessed from things like Reiki or, these sorts of practices?
Yes. If the person performing the Reiki or the person that having it done are not in the right frame of mind, you've got to be really in the right frame of mind.
Last question, what do you say to those people that believe that the spiritual realm is all in our heads and doesn't exist?
You can't change a skeptic. There's no point trying. Your belief is your belief. My belief is my belief. I'm not going to try and force my beliefs on
Absolutely,
you.
Yeah.
And your beliefs on
No, absolutely. I've actually got a question, Jamie. So, what was your thoughts on the whole situation?
My expectations going in was that the witch Sarah was going to be, very prideful, entitled, and anti, God, anti any sort of religion. But when I entered and I saw her, I don't know, I didn't get a sort of evil vibe that you kind of stereotypically think of, witches to have. I actually got a vibe from Sarah herself that she was a very inquisitive. She was so non-judgmental. Having listened to many people involved in witchcraft, I decided to shift my focus. I went to see a woman named Jade, who used to practice witchcraft regularly, but now wants absolutely nothing to do with it ever again.
I was suffering from chronic anxiety, PTSD, all those sorts of things, and I wanted a way to heal. So I went into meditation first, breath work, mindfulness meditation, but from there, that led down the rabbit hole of trying anything and everything to get healing, and I did it for about 5 years, and throughout that time, actually things got worse. Demons are actually the ones there when you're doing these things because it goes against God. So Reiki, for example, when you're inviting in the light, what are you inviting in? I had a lot of experiences where I'd feel sensations in my body, or I would leave a Reiki session and be yes, I feel better, but it was always short-lived. I believe these demons can actually pull back on the things they torment you with to make you think it's working, only to bring it back worse.
What do you think is the truth about spirituality?
Well, the truth about spirituality is that God is real, Jesus is real, Jesus died for us. For me, I know now what the truth is.
So you believe the New Age is demonic?
It is 100% demonic.
After hearing this, I reached out to a friend of mine named Dan, an ex-occultist who has now dedicated his life to casting out demons from people. Looks like a very normal guy, so how can someone like you be an exorcist or deliverance minister?
The cliche in the movies, you see the priest, casting out the demons and stuff like that, but the reality is, as a Christian, we're all called to do things like heal the sick and cast out demons.
What does casting out a demon mean, and how is it even done?
Essentially what happens is people can have these things called open doors, essentially, right? So you can open doors to things, and a lot of the practices that people are involved in these days, especially things like New Age practices and witchcraft, can open the doors. And even the people who practice these things still to this day and really are advocates for it will always warn people, hey, there's a chance that something can go wrong here, and you can open the door to an evil spirit that can come in and actually possess you and cause a lot of damage.
What are some common practices that people may use out there that are just considered normal that are actually very dangerous?
Crystal healing, yoga, psychics, tarot cards, Ouija boards, meditations, hypnotherapy, psychedelic drugs is a big one, so that can open doors.
Do you think demons can be the cause of some mental health problems?
I would say from my experience, what I read from the Bible, maybe not in every single case, but almost always. So some common spirits that we see are spirits that cause fear and anxiety, confusion. And we see these things, these mental health issues growing exponentially in our culture. And people don't realize these things have been around thousands and thousands of years doing the same thing. I even remember with you had really bad OCD, but when once you are set free from that demon, everything's changed.
So Dan, for people out there that may be wondering whether or not they are demonically oppressed or they have some spirits going on in their life, what would your advice be for them to get help?
Well, maybe even if you're watching this video and you might feel a stirring inside yourself going, maybe that's me, maybe I'm dealing with this, maybe it's not just an addiction, maybe there's something behind it, or maybe it's not just a mental health issue, maybe there's something, a spirit behind it that I've opened a door to. Well, the best thing that you can do is find a church that does deliverance or exorcism, you might know it as, and go and seek help. See if anything happens. The worst case, you're just going to get a prayer and you're going to feel better. But if you're really worried that there's something that nothing else is able to fix, whether it's medication or psychotherapy or whatever it is, and it hasn't fixed you, go to church, ask for deliverance, ask for a prayer for healing. Best case, you get set free and everything's going to be so much better after that.